one of the main reasons this sparked my memory is because of the Android 12 Beta 1 was released for this phone. I think it's only for the Indian variant, so we should be getting Android 12 pretty soon, which I'll be covering. But one of the main reasons why I love this phone is because of the display. So it's a 6.7-inch display, and it's a 1440p 90 hertz panel on here, and it's a really beautiful panel. So whether you're playing video games or whether you're watching a video, it does give you that full immersive experience. They're able to do this because they have a pop-up camera up here as well too. So most phones you'll see with a little punch hole or a notch like the iPhone, this phone does not have it, and it really does make a big difference. So once you use this phone, you can go back to using phones with the punch hole, but you'll always appreciate this phone. I'm telling you, you'll always appreciate the design of this phone. Eventually, all phones will have this design. Eventually, they'll put the cameras under the displays like we've been seeing in some other phones. But the only reason that's not mainstream yet is because the image quality is not up to par yet. But most phones will look like the 7 Pro's display. And what I liked about this phone when it came out is that it had 90 hertz panel, which a lot of the older flagships did not. So a lot of the phones with the Snapdragon 855 chip, it did not have this 90 hertz panel. So when it came out, it got great reviews, and I personally think this is one of the phones that made 90 hertz mainstream. It wasn't the first, but it definitely had a big influence on a lot of other phones. So definitely, you know, it's just a classic device here. And like I said, when you're watching videos and stuff like that, I always use this phone to watch videos, because when you just watch videos in full screen, just look at that. Slim bezels, no punch hole. You can just focus on the content on the screen, and it just looks awesome, guys. It does have a curved display, which a lot of people, you may not like. I don't have an issue with the curved display. I never really have accidental touches with this phone at all. But yeah, so display is like one of the main things about this device that I really appreciate. Now, we do have the Snapdragon 855 chip on here, and this phone is still pretty fast. I do have a ton of stuff on here, but it still remains very speedy. I don't even have the maxed out version. I don't have the 256 gig in the max RAM version. But like I said, Snapdragon 855, this is a score with Android 11. It can actually still game at some pretty great settings. I believe this phone can run PUBG even at 90 frames. Which is really awesome as well too. Alright, you guys can see I got PUBG loaded up here, and if I go to my settings, you can see we're at 90 frames. So this also makes a great gaming device. It's very fast as well too. So if you're trying to get, you know, 90 frames on PUBG or just good gaming in general on an older flagship, plus you get a big beautiful display, this is one of my favorites to go to. I still prefer this phone to game on. It's just a very awesome experience here. So like I said, definitely still great at gaming. I do have some gaming tests already on this phone, but I think the only game it kind of struggled with was Fortnite, but I've had a bunch of other phones kind of struggle with that game as well too. I just don't think it's well optimized. It's optimized for Samsung devices, but I don't know, on OnePlus devices it just, I don't know, it's just okay on the older ones at least. But yeah, so gaming on here is still going to be a great experience on here. So Android 13 or Android 12 will be the last update for this phone as well too. That's why I'm highly anticipating it as well. And I think another thing is Oxygen OS has always been also another plus with this phone, just how well it's organized and how fast it typically is. Now throughout the years, I've kind of grown to really, you know, like One UI a little bit more than Oxygen OS now, because Samsung has just been on a tear, just cleaning it up. Not only just cleaning One UI up, but just adding a ton of customizations that I wasn't taking, you know, advantage of, or that I wasn't, you know, just underappreciating it. But I do like the simplicity in OnePlus. Everything is just organized really well, and everything is just super clean. How you apply themes and just how they have everything laid out. And typically they're pretty good at pushing out updates. They've been a little bit slow lately, but you know, it is what it is. But like I said, it's not like a Samsung phone where there's just a ton of stuff on here. But like I said, it is a very clean OS. Alright, so one of the next things with the 7 Pro is the camera setup. So it's got a pretty good camera system on here. So it's got a triple camera setup. Now, It's not like one of my favorite cameras out of all the older flagships with the 855 series. But it gets the job done, especially in good lighting. I'll show you guys. You guys should be seeing some photos here. It's a 48 megapixel standard, 8 megapixel telephoto, that's 3x optical zoom, and then a 16 megapixel ultra wide. It shoots in 4K 60, and then the pop-up camera is 16 megapixels that shoots in 1080p 30. So basically, the image quality is pretty good. Like I said, not my favorite camera. Sometimes you have to kind of edit photos a little bit. Color can be a little bit, odd. But overall, I think anybody will appreciate the photos on here. They're very detailed shots. Yeah, so I don't have any issues. The ultra wide is pretty close to the main lens. The 3x telephoto lens is pretty good. Video on here is solid. It's just when you take it out of good lighting and stuff like that, it just gives you kind of an okay shot. It's not like like I said, it's not my favorite camera out of the older flagship phones, but it will get the job done. Like, I've taken it to the zoos and stuff like that, and I've gotten some pretty amazing shots, some very nice shots on this phone. So anybody that still has this phone, what do you think about the cameras? I think they've been updating the cameras, and I think they've been getting better. But like I said, if you're taking it like outdoors and stuff like that, it's an awesome phone. It's gonna take great shots. This phone has pretty good stereo speakers as well too. I don't have any issues with that. They're very loud as well. And you do have on here, or you don't have a headphone jack, and you also don't have SD card support as well, so take that into consideration. There's no official IP rating on here, but you can get this thing wet. I've gotten this thing wet and it hasn't broken. It's just not an official rating. But trust me, if you get it dropping in some water or rain or whatever, it's not gonna break. So I do want to go ahead and talk about also another thing that this phone does not have is wireless charging. Unfortunately, they left that out of here. It does have pretty good fast charging at 30 watts, so the phone does charge fairly fast, but I do wish sometimes it had wireless charging. But speaking of the wireless charging, the battery life on this phone is actually still pretty good. So this is a phone that you can charge from 100% and leave the house, and you can pretty easily get 6 hours of screen on time on here. This phone, I believe, has a 4,000 milliamp battery on here. Let me double check. It's been a while since I looked at the spec sheet. Yeah, 4,000 milliamp battery on here. And yeah, it does a pretty good job with screen on time. So you can easily take this phone out and not worry about it. Also, like I said, it charges up very fast as well too, which is definitely a plus. So I really love the OnePlus 7 Pro. I think it's an excellent device in 2022. Beautiful design still. This isn't even the best color. A beautiful glass and metal design still. And also, one thing that I think just kind of underrated is this mute vibration switch right here. Silent. Like, I just love the texture of this. I wish every phone had it. But yeah, also another thing about this phone, lastly, is the fingerprint scanner is blazing fast. It's one of my favorite things. And also, one thing that I love, and it always catches people off guard, is the face unlock. So anytime you unlock this phone and people see the camera pop up like that, they immediately are like, whoa, what is that? So it always one of those things that, I always find cool, is the thing popping up. It just like feels like a sci-fi movie or something. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I really enjoy this phone. It's an awesome device. So be sure to let me know, what do you guys think of the 7 Pro? You guys think it's worth buying in 2022? Be sure to let me know, and I'll catch you guys in the next